What is going on, guys? My name is Phamily Shucks and welcome back to another episode of Clash of Clans. The title says it all, guys. I am back. I am back for redemption to get this BARCH to 3k trophies, and I am so ready. I skipped the whole process of me barching through Crystal League and also the Masters League. I started at 1700 trophies and I barched all my way back up to where we last stopped on the last part of this episode of my series of the BARCH to 3k trophies series. So we are back at where we just left off. 2953. We are returning back with full force, guys. I've come back stronger. I got stronger heroes, which is going to play a huge role, especially in those clutch situations. I learned from my mistakes last time I pushed, which was roughly around 4 months ago, officially, to get that personal record of my trophies at 2953, which is exactly where we are starting at 2953 trophies. So I learned from my mistakes last time, and I just know what to do this time. And I got my eye on the prize. Barching to 3k trophies is at a go. So I hope you guys aren't really that disappointed. I know you guys are probably like, oh, it's the BARCH Part 2 guy. Don't worry, guys, that's coming out. But I hope these replays still help you guys learn how to BARCH, because it's a very similar situation. I'm still walking you guys through the mindset of me when I was going through this raid, and you guys get to see visually on how I perform my raids and what bases I go for. So this base was pretty easy. I used some clutch lightning spells. I lightning the hero altars and also some of the builder huts. I saved my Arch Queen, but I used my Barbarian King because he was boosting. And when it comes to boosting, I go a bit more risky on the base selections because I know that I can use my Barbarian King and that he will regen in a faster time. And that goes the same for when I am boosting my lightning spells, because I can use a lot more because I know that I have enough elixir to train them up, and since they're on boost, I know that they'll finish in a quick amount of time. So this base right here is a pretty easy base to barch. You can notice that he does have very centralized wizard towers, which aren't going to attack any of my troops on the outside. He also had the same thing for his mortars. Two of them on the top are pretty centralized. Not really going to cause a problem though, because the mortar coverage on the top don't really cover all the way on the outside, so it allows my archers to pick off the free buildings. And that of course did not apply to the bottom mortar, which I lightning strike at the beginning of this raid before I lured out the Barbarian King. So I'm working my way all around the base. I started on the side away from the clan castle. Of course, the number one rule is to attack the side with the clan castle last, and I got the 50% before the clan castle even came out, so it was a pretty easy raid. And I'm going to deploy my Arch Queen on the bottom left on that Dark Elixir storage in order to pick up a little bit more of the Dark Elixir, because it can't hurt to farm a little bit more, especially when I'm using BARCH. So once her hero ability ran out, I ended the raid and I came away with a nice 11 trophies, 50% 1 star. So now heading on to this next replay, this base right here is a very common base that I love to barch, especially up at the higher leagues. You saw this base very familiar in the first replay. Very common design, has the very far located compartments. You see those 4 rectangular compartments on the outside which cover around the top and also the bottom of this base. Now the reason I like this setup is because it's very far away from the core, so not a lot of the core defenses can help out on the outside. Makes it really easy for my archers to pick off the buildings inside those compartments without being completely destroyed by the core defenses like the expos or the mortars. And also, just a tip, even though someone has this similar base design, it does not mean you should barch it right away. You have to notice the building placements, especially the wizard tower placements. If you notice the wizard tower is covering a lot of the buildings on the outside, or they're covering the compartments, I really recommend not to attack that base, especially with barch. And also another tip to conclude this raid, the most percentage will always be at the bottom or the sides. Not a lot of people put a lot of percentage on the top, so that's a little bit of a heads up if you're coming down to those clutch situations. To always place down your heroes or your clan castle on the left or right or bottom of that base. So here's another common base design that you see up at the higher leagues. A lot of people tend to use this, and it's usually seen turned to its side. I think it's because a lot of people saw J-Rod use this base, so it's become pretty popular up at the higher leagues, and it's a really easy base to get that 50% because the core defenses are really separated from the outside buildings, which makes it really easy for me to pick off. Now this base in particular was pretty hard, first off because the heroes were basically unlurable. In some aspects, I had to deploy a lot of barbarians on the bottom, and he did have some Teslas on the bottom, which were a pain in the ass. As you guys know, Teslas overall on the outside do a lot of damage, especially to barbarians and archers. So that's something to keep in mind, especially if you're going to be barching, is to take out those Teslas as fast as possible. Use enough troops to take out the Teslas, but also save enough so that way you have enough to go all around the base and take out the rest of the buildings. But if you do not take out those Teslas quick enough, they're gonna rape your archers and barbarians as fast as possible, especially level 7 Teslas. They just one-hit barbarians and archers like no tomorrow. So right here, this is coming down to a clutch situation. It's basically screwed up because the mortar's on the outside, and also I think the main cause of this was because of the Teslas just taking out those troops as quick as possible. So it came down to a clutch situation. I had all 4 spells. I lightning strike the altars and also the builder huts, and that came away with around 45 to 46%, which just left enough percent for my heroes to clean up. So I placed down both of my heroes on this left hand side because that's where a lot of the buildings were. Also because of the wizards were on the right hand side, so it's going to take them a while for them to travel on the left hand side, and my heroes are going to finish up this 50%. So big thanks to Stretchy for the thumbnail. His channel will be in the description. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!